Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in to Sevier Strategy, your automotive podcast. I am your host, John Sevier.
And I am your co-host, Sarah Moore.
And today we will be discussing our very first episode that we are really excited to bring to you and talk about, and going over engagement and really kind of setting you up for what this podcast is going to do for you, and by listening in, what we're trying to help you with, as well as setting up our next couple of episodes, because Sarah and I are not experts in every facet of the dealership world. We definitely have our expertise. So I'm really excited to announce that we have some great guests that will be on the show in the upcoming episodes to really talk about what they are experts in and deliver some actionable information that you can walk away with and implement at your dealership to bring a level of ROI there or to really increase your sales. So Sarah, if you can, before we get started, if you could just share with us a little bit of your background and how you got into the automotive space.
Yeah, absolutely. I have worked my way up in the automotive industry. Currently, I am a BDC manager at a centralized location with roughly about 30 reps or so, BDC reps. In the beginning, I handled internet leads. I had a little bit of the sales and the service side of things, but I have some experience in actually getting hands-on with those leads and able to provide best practices for them as well.
And so, as I said before, we have experts in each individual field, and I'm so blessed to have Sarah on this podcast with me because she really does bring in a world of experience when it comes to the digital side of things, which, I hear people laughing these days when they hear digital retailing and just get rid of the word digital and just keep retailing because, anymore it's of course all about digital, all about where you are online, how you're communicating with your customers. And that's where she's going to bring that expertise to the table. And I'm really excited to have her on the show. As we continue on, our first episode, we wanted to kind of set up the next couple of episodes, which will be all around engagement. There are plenty of places for us to start when you look at the operations of a dealership, whether it be online to in your store. But how you're engaging with your customers and in what ways you engage with them are a crucial part to your success. If you're not engaging with customers on every single platform or the way the customers want to be communicated with, a lot of the times we choose the way that's most convenient for us to communicate with the customer. And what that leads to are things such as a lower engagement rate where you're not getting a hold of these customers the way that you should or at a high percentage. And as we dive into each individual one, I want to bring you an industry expert in every single field. And that is where I'm really excited about starting this off and getting into the next couple of episodes with you. So the first thing, is Sarah, if you could just tell us about the different ways you communicate with customers now.
Currently, we have a lot of different avenues that we go down for communication with them. We do via phone calls, texts, gifts, emails, and videos just to personalize our experience with them and find the best way to communicate.
That's great. And even outside of that, I can tell you that we brought in, and I've had discussions with other people, both in the automotive space, outside of the automotive space, even at independent dealerships, and the way that people communicate can be extremely different. I've heard of independent car lots, working with customers on a platform of they're sending Snapchat to them. I mean, I would have never thought in a BDC world to start sending Snapchats to customers, but guess what? They love it, and
it's
it
happening.
really works for them, yes. And the other thing is Facebook Messenger. And, the thing about Facebook Messenger is that we can communicate with the customer, like I said before, the way we want to, or that's what's convenient for us. And there's a lot of things that will host your inventory online to show your cars online. And then what they do is they submit that customer's information over to you, and then we call the customer. Even though the customer wants to communicate with you via Facebook Messenger, we communicate with them the way we want to. And so when we communicate, we got to learn how to do it and what's the best way to do it. So as we go through phone, text, email, video, Facebook Messenger, all these different avenues, like I said, we're going to be pulling in these industry experts. The one thing I'll kind of clue you in on that I'm really excited about is talking about the statistics and the data that back up what we're doing. These aren't just opinions. These aren't, us sitting here and saying, hey, well, this works for us in this small area, or, this works in this big area and maybe not for this dealership over here, because all dealerships aren't equal. They are completely different, and, you've got to find out what's best for you, and you do that through the data. So, as we communicate with these customers, one of the stats, I was reading an article recently that's, really stuck out in my head for 2019, and it was, from the FCC. So the FCC comes out and they put out an article that, just kind of resonates with me. It actually made me laugh. I'm sitting in a coffee shop and reading this, and it just made me laugh. And what it was is in 2019, they expect that 50% or more of all the phone calls you get on your cell phone will be spam. And when you sit down and you actually think about that, it's hilarious because, we always talk about it, especially in the BDC world, pick up the phone and call. That's what you need to be doing. And it's still important, and I don't want to take away from that. But when you hear statistics like that, and you actually put yourself in the customer's shoes, what happens when you get a phone call on your cell phone from a number you have no idea who it is? You don't pick up, you don't look at it, you don't answer the phone. And again, that's another way that we just have to be innovative and progressive in order to talk and speak with our customers. So I encourage you to continue to listen in. We are extremely excited. We want to be able to provide to you that strategy that is in our podcast name as our core value, because we want to make sure that if you are listening in and spending the time to listen in on the way to work or at lunch or whatever it is that you're doing, that you're able to join us, that you walk away with that information and a way to implement a new strategy to increase your sales. So next week, I won't tease you. I'll tell you who's going to be joining us. It's going to be Steve Ressler from Drive Centric. You might know him as the Live with Drive guy. Yes, he is a wonderful guy. Brings a ton of experience with video and texting, and even, like Sarah said, the gifts that you can send out that are really exciting, and there's some cool case studies around that as well. So we're going to be having Steve join us next week on our episode that he is going to be going over all of these best practices and strategies that you'll be able to take and implement into your dealership. So thank you so much for tuning in, whether, again, you're at home on break or even driving in traffic. Hopefully it's not too bad for you. And if you have a topic that you would like us to discuss, please make sure you leave it in the comments.
Yes, and please remember to share and subscribe. That way we can continue to bring you this podcast, and you can be notified on your streaming services when we upload content.
And so, again, be sure to tune in for our next episode where we'll be discussing best practices for video and texting. Thank you so much.